Back to the church. The key for Islam and Hindu side is the commandments. End of the day is you're poor for a reason. You have the Pope helping out this nation and that nation, all these churches and Christians. End of the day, you're poor for a reason. There's more than one son of God, more than one son of Zeus. You read the Rosetta Stone, fall to me. Who's with me? The black sun. End of the day, you have the Rosetta Stone, sons of Zeus. And the story, one of the stories of the statue of Zeus, by the way, was you had the emperor of Italy who is fallen, not following the commandments, finds out that Zeus is here. He invades Italy, invades Greece, tears down the statue of Zeus, cuts off its head, because Zeus has went back up to heaven, brings it back to Italy, reassembles the statue of Zeus, and puts his own head on it. He says, I'm Zeus now, I'm in charge. That's a fact. Then he finds out Zeus has a son. He invades Alexandria. You have Zeus' son with the documents, the religious documents. So he doesn't want to give up his kingship that he put, false kingship. He invades Egypt, steals all the documents, and it's called the Vatican Library today. That's a fact. But the reality is that you're dealing with different sons of Zeus. You got Hercules, you got Samson, Helios, Moses. They're all different sons of God. Fact is, there's lots of false prophets out there. This device here will determine who's a false prophet and who's not a false prophet. 36.1. End of the day, if anyone thinks I'm full of shit, and I'm not God, just ask for my temperature check. Because there's 36.1, but it could go up to 40. That's Zeus. But going forward, anyone who's a false prophet, that's how it's going to be going forward. If you're walking with God, in simplicity, ask for a temperature check. You have all these false prophets. You got some queen or a follower in Canada, queen of something. Sorry, but God is fire. Zeus created a beautiful evil woman. And all the gods gave her a gift, Pandora. Okay? End of the day, the white race comes from fire. You recognize you're a son or daughter of Zeus, you walk in day or at night. If you don't recognize that after this video, it's not my problem. But there's lots of false prophets that have been out through thousands of years, claiming to be this and claiming to be that. Fact is, if you read the book of Ezekiel, this has been going back from the temple of Jupiter. It's a mix-up of different father-son universe. It has been corrected, but unfortunately, these church leaders are the problem. They're not the solution. I'll give you a good example. The temple of Jupiter, which is Osiris, who's with me, by the way, okay, represents Lebanon. It's bankrupt. The issue is why Lebanon is poor is it's the church. It's the sun within creation. You had the temple of Jupiter back then, which is the sun. If you look back in history, you see it's called Zeus this, Zeus that, right? So you have the son of Zeus with Osiris, or the son of Zeus with Horus, Heru the hawk. You have the celebration of the Jews, which is the hawk, Horus, Heru. Jews come from Babylon. Then you have the confusion of tongues. But God's been here many, many times before, trying to explain this. There's no person in the history of mankind who's explained what Jesus said, which is correct. And Moses. End of the day, you create your own heaven and hell. But from the Hindu side, it's wrong. You're going to church on a Sunday. That's it. There's no more Hindu. You follow the commandments, church is on a Sunday for obvious reasons. It goes back to you go look in Pakistan. Pakistan does not exist. Neither does Kashmir. But you see in the history, you'll see a temple that was created in Pakistan, a sun temple, the son of Zeus. And then you have the people from India coming to worship at the temple, giving up gifts and doing this and doing that. And these people from Islam charged them a tax for them to come to the temples. Then these guys are more or less temple robbers as far as I'm concerned. That's basically what these priests are. They're temple robbers. They steal everything that's been given to God and everything else. Here's the gold, silver, here's this, which is a tiv. When I'm here, I don't work. End of the day, I tried to direct how I've been raised by God. But end of the day, the priests, from action and everything else, they're going to have to go through this story first. When I was baptized in 1986, in fire, from my feet all the way up to my head, basically, I completed my high school. I took a year off. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I worked in a factory for 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Think about it. God working in a factory. It comes back to the song, "What if God was one of us?" God did exactly as what a man has done. He worked in a factory for 1 year. This is reality. He saved up his money. A recession was coming. My dad, at the end of the day, I quit my job. I said, "Dad, I know what I want to do now." He says, "What's that?" Because he didn't want me quitting my job. I said, "I don't want to work in a factory anymore." I ended up going to college. He said, "Don't worry, I have money saved in that respect. I'm going to college starting September. I know what I want to do now." I said, "Fine." A recession was coming, a slowdown. My dad was talking to my mom. And he asked him, he says, "Listen, things are slowing down right now. You got to be careful with the money and everything else." And I said to him, "Dad," I said, "I've got lots of money. Whatever you need, I'll give it to you. You don't have to worry about cutting back on anything." And he says, "How much money do you got?" I said, "Don't worry about it. Whatever you need, I'll give it to you." He says, "How much money do you got?" I said, "I've got $50,000. And he says, "How the hell did you come up with $50,000? True story. I said, "Well, I've been working 12 hours a day, saving my money. I can't spend it anywhere. Sunday is the day of rest. And whatever that you need," and I invested it into the stock market. And this particular stock, I made this, and this, and I've got $50,000. So I'm paying for my own car, my education, my own clothes, my own everything. But the point of the summary walking with God is I took care of my parents from beginning to end. It comes under the commandment, "Honor thy father and thy mother," of the sacred flame of Zeus. But I've took care of them at that time and space. So, the next stage, went to college, took personnel management. And this is part of the new covenant with me, with God's direction to me. God did not give me the commandments. He did not give me the message from Jesus. He gave me this, personnel management, which he reminded me of. You're hired and you're fired. And I will be hiring and firing politicians worldwide in my media center. Bye-bye. The next thing in terms of the covenant, since God was in Canada, he mentions Hazel McCallion, former mayor of Mississauga, one of the best politicians in the world. And the reason that God mentions Hazel McCallion is taxes. A long time ago, Jesus was against taxes. You don't tax your brothers and sisters. It's documented in the Bible. But because of the affairs in the world, this is not, 5,000 years ago. This is today. Taxes are okay with God. But it's focused on the city, which is municipal, which is shared, which is to support essential services. End of the day, I got into a car accident. A fire truck came, the police came, an ambulance came. I had to go to the doctor to get my back readjusted. Essential services, which is to support your community or tribe. And that's the message. And a balanced budget. Debt is chaos. Live within your means. End of the day, your main job as a priest is to keep your flock in check, the commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. Look at what Russia is doing today. They're falling. They're going backwards, not forwards. It's a terrible thing. Everyone's saying, where's God in all of this? You're not going to blame God going forward. But as a Christian, and I've seen these Orthodox people visiting the churches, you do not kiss pictures, you do not kiss statues. You can kiss each other because you come from fire. But you don't kiss people going into these churches and kiss this and kiss that. It's like, no, you kiss each other. That's the whole point. You come from the sovereign Son. You come from fire. And you don't pray to a dead pope in the church. These priests, when I confronted them in situations, said, why are you praying to a dead pope? He says, well, he's in heaven. End of the day, he's not in heaven. Who told you this? That's what we're taught. So what you've been taught has been wrong. What did Jesus say? You have one Father in heaven. The fact is, fire comes from heaven. It's the sun within creation with the Elohim that's never been properly addressed. You could call it, if you want to say Hindu side, which is the sun within creation, which is different gods. But the fact is, on the church side, going forward, which I'm in charge of, amongst many other things, is the collections. You don't bring money as an offering. There's still to this day in the Catholic Church taking collections as an offering to God. And that's wrong. You take the money outside before you enter into the church. But you never take money as an offering to God, as they do in the Catholic Church. Everyone, all these different religions are all taking little bits and pieces, what they think is correct and what is not correct. I'm here to set the record straight. End of the day, there's no mosque. It's the sun with. Just think of it this way. I'm with God. You're not. So, the end. Okay? Think of it, the sovereign Son, who I'm with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which represents the Elohim. Different colors of creation. You could throw in a little bit of Hindu mythology in that respect, but it explains that they're brown. But the same thing applies to India. Sri Lanka does not exist. It's finito. It's bankrupt. That's why you're poor. You listen to Jesus and Moses, those who follow the commandments will prosper. You got this Pope of Rome. You got Christians pissing their money away left, right, and center. You're suffering from bleeding heart syndrome. And I've told this to Donald Trump also, by the way, through an email that got to him. It's the biggest problem with Christians is the Americans got to leave the USA. They're blood-sucking pigs over here. They don't follow the commandments. It's been going on for 5,000 years. America is going down the shitters. The older generation of America built America. This generation coming up, you got to get its act together. The good thing about the generation coming up is it's anti-war and stuff like that, but the bottom line is USA got its name from God. Let me explain to that. So you could take your American flag and stick it in your ass. USA is a Christian nation. Jerusalem, Jerusa, Melchizedek. Jesus, formal name was Methuselah, Methusa. It's a Christian nation, giving in the image of God thy father Zeus. You have the sun within creation. But that's where the prophecy of the USA comes from, is they followed the commandments, not these laws that these lawyers, godless lawyers, have created. God hasn't asked for a lot. But the reality is USA is connected to Jerusalem through the various tribes. The older generation understands where I'm coming from, but this new generation coming up, God help you. At the end of the day, you recognize you as sons and daughters of Zeus or you don't. But that's how the USA has its name, and that's the connection from that to the Bible. Why the US politicians are afraid to say that, you could ask them directly. But the reality of the situation is that that's the connection of the USA to Jerusalem. It's not the United States of America. There's nothing united about America. It's a Christian nation, USA.